All right, I'm live. Welcome to the James Nolan podcast. I'm going to be live on Twitter and YouTube as per usual, like the show. Speaking of the show, I'm going to be rebranding a little bit. So I'm going to be keeping it the same theme, New York sports, talking all the Mets, all the Jets, all the Giants, all the Yankees, all that stuff. But I'm going to bring back the podcast so I could talk more like this, relaxed, laid back, and talk about whatever I want to talk about, not just New York sports. For example, today, you see it in the title. We're going over the week 2 of the NFL season. The Dallas Cowboys, man, they're scary. They're looking legit. That defense, I mean, DJ Reed called the Jets defense the Chicago Bears from 90 whatever. And it's looking like the Dallas Cowboys hold that title. The Jets are they're a mess. That's what I'll say about the Jets. But we're going to be talking about the Jets later. Today I'm going to be going over my top 5 teams of the week. I'm going to be going over my overrated team of the week, my underrated team of the week. I'm going to be going over my rookie of the week, my MVP of the week. And then I'm also going to be going over some stories throughout the NFL, such as Russell Wilson in Denver, him and Sean Payton having a little bit of trouble. 0-2 start. Definitely not the start that Sean Payton thought he would get off to. Denver, they got a very good defense. They have an okay skill set on the offensive side of the ball. And Russell Wilson is supposed to be Russell Wilson, and he just hasn't been in a long time. So, going to be talking about that. Also, going to be talking about Zach Wilson in New York. Also, going to be talking about Dallas defense as a whole. Baker Mayfield in Tampa off to a 2-0 start. Did Cleveland make a mistake? You saw Cleveland lose last night against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They also struggled. Deshaun Watson struggled against that Cincinnati Bengals team in week 1. And I'm also going to be talking about that Bengals team too. And I'm going to wrap it up with Minshew Mania, because Minshew Mania came in and saved the day for the Colts, got them their first win of the season. And I'm going to be talking about that. So let's get into it right away with my top 5 teams of the week. Sliding in there at number 5 was the Baltimore Ravens, off to a 2-0 start. Lamar Jackson got that new contract, feeling good about himself, showing it on the field as well. He looked very, very good against the Cincinnati Bengals team that at the end of the day, I'm going to put some blame on them later and talk about them later, but the Bengals, yeah, they're 0-2, but they're still the Cincinnati Bengals, and they still have Joe Burrow throwing that ball, and they have Jamar Chase catching the ball on the offensive side, and the defense ain't too shabby either. The Bengals were an AFC championship team a couple of years ago, so we know what they can do. And the Ravens coming in here, obviously, in my opinion, they had nothing to lose. They had nothing to lose. If they lose, well, they're expected to lose. They're the Baltimore Ravens going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. But what did they do? Well, Lamar Jackson showed up big time. They only won by 3, but I mean, Lamar, 24 of 33, throwing the ball very well. No picks, a 112.8 passer rating. He looked very good. He looked very good. And Gus Edwards, a guy out of Rutgers, that's my college football team. So, guy out of Rutgers rushing for 62 yards on just 10 carries, also getting in the end zone once. So, Baltimore Ravens, they're at number 5 for me at week 2. Number 4, I'm going to put in the Miami Dolphins, and I think they're the best team in the AFC East. I think they're going to win the AFC East this year. That's my, I guess, hot take. I don't even think that's a hot take, really. I think the Miami Dolphins with Tua, if he can stay healthy, if Tua stays healthy, I think this Miami Dolphins team is going to go very far in the postseason, especially with Aaron Rodgers knocked out of this division. I think you can lock them up for a division title this year over the Buffalo Bills. Yes, the Miami Dolphins will win the AFC East this year. With the way that Tua has looked the past 2 years when healthy, even throughout his whole entire career, Tua has just been a very, very good quarterback. Alabama alum, so Nick Saban guy. So can't expect anything else. 24-17, still 5-0, undefeated against Bill Belichick as a starting quarterback. So 21-30, 249, a touchdown and an interception, and then Tyreek Hill is the best wide receiver in the NFL. No doubt about it. I mean, Listen, Justin Jefferson is lights out. Jamar Chase is lights out. AJ Brown is lights out. Garrett Wilson is lights out. But the best wide receiver in the NFL is Tyreek Hill. No doubt about it. I mean, only five receptions for 40 yards, but he was targeted 9 times. He got into the end zone again, 2 touchdowns the previous week with 215 yards. Tyreek Hill is the best wide receiver in football. And then you also got to factor in that Tua also has Jalen Waddle. And Jalen Waddle, 86 yards, 4 receptions. He did go down with a concussion in week 2, but he's probably going to be out. He's probably going to be in the game. So, we'll see what happens. But 4 receptions, 86 yards, and week 1, 4 receptions, 78 yards. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, probably the best receiving duo in football. And the best receiver in football is Tyreek Hill. And Tua is playing at an MVP level. He's got a cannon. I mean, not really, but he's got zip on the ball. He doesn't have a cannon. He doesn't have a strong arm, but his velocity when he throws the ball, he has pinpoint accuracy. Tua is he's a very good quarterback. That's what he is. He's a very good quarterback on a very good football team. So Miami Dolphins, they're at number 4 for me. Number 3, reigning NFC champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, against the Patriots, they were struggling. I'm not going to lie. 2-0 start, but week 1, they were struggling a little bit against the New England Patriots. And the New England Patriots do look very improved this year. So I will say that. I'm going to talk about them a little bit later on in the week. But the Patriots do look improved. Not great, but improved. So I will say that. So the Eagles did struggle a little bit against the Patriots. But on Thursday night, the Eagles put in work. Against the Vikings, they won 34-28. I just wanted to get the exact score. But yeah, Jalen Hurts, I mean, dull threat, 193 yards only passing. But on the ground, he was lights out. He was the best rusher, in my opinion, in the game. 12 rushes for 35 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he got 3 touchdowns overall in the game. So Jalen Hurts is, in my opinion, I think last year he had a great year. I'm not going to take anything away from the season he had last year. Definitely a top 3 quarterback last year, maybe even probably a top 2. He was the second best quarterback in the league right after Pat Mahomes. But he also has a absolutely sick receiving core too, just like Tua does in Miami. Tua, in my opinion, is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. He is. But also, I still think Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback. And I think Tua is a top 5 quarterback too, when healthy. And this is crazy statements I'm making right now, I know, but Jalen, I think he gets a lot of hate. I think when people say that Daniel Jones is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts, I think they're out of their mind. Jalen Hurts, what he did against the Minnesota Vikings, yes, passing wise, is he Tom Brady? No. But he's still a very good passer. Only 5 incompletion against the Vikings. He threw a touchdown, 193 yards. We know what he did last year. And then you have to factor in the fact that he can scramble for a first down, extend plays, keep the ball. Like Devontae Smith, he got 131 yards. And it wasn't just because Devontae Smith is a world-class wide receiver. In my opinion, I think Devontae Smith might take that leap as the number 1 receiver in Philadelphia this year. He's that good. And so is AJ Brown. But if Jalen Hurts didn't have those two, would he struggle? Yes, but he has those two. And he's still a very good passer. And he's an elite runner. So when you factor in that he's a very good passer and an elite runner, and he has the two best receivers in football. I mean, not the two best receivers in football, the second best receiving duo in football. That makes a top 5 quarterback. And that's what Jalen Hurts is. And there's people out there, Giants fans, basically saying that Daniel Jones is better. No, he's not. Did you see what Jalen Hurts did in the Super Bowl? Not many quarterbacks can go toe to toe with Pat Mahomes. He had a better game than Pat Mahomes in the Super Bowl. 100% did. But Pat Mahomes is Pat Mahomes. But number 3 team is the Eagles. Number 2, yes, I'm putting the Dallas Cowboys over the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they're that good this year. I think the defense is a lot better than the Philadelphia Eagles stack defense. I think the Dallas defense is really, it's going to be a historic defense this year. Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. And then you got Trayvon Diggs locking up wide receivers too. I mean, I know there's some plays that he lets up big plays, yes, because he's a high risk, high reward cornerback. That's who he is. But it works. It does work. And then when you have Micah Parsons, arguably the best defensive player in the past 10 years, and that's saying a lot, but the things that he does on the football field, the way he can get to the quarterback, you cannot double team him because he's just moving all over the place. Micah Parsons is an alien. Micah Parsons is just an alien. He's not human. He's something else. He's from a different dimension. Micah Parsons. Now, yes, the Dallas defense outside of Micah Parsons is very good, but Micah Parsons makes them from very good to scary. Scary. So the Dallas Cowboys right now are my number 2 team in the league. 2 NFC teams at the top of the list. San Francisco 49ers, I mean, best coach in football in Kyle Shanahan. Brock Purdy, I mean, a good quarterback. Good quarterback. I mean, I think he's silencing the doubters from last year. I mean, a lot of people saying anybody could be a quarterback in San Francisco. Can they, though? Can they? And you know what? It's working with Brock Purdy. It's working really well. They should have won by 10, but they ended up only winning by a touchdown. So the score did look a little bit closer on paper than it actually was. San Francisco was in complete control the whole entire game. Complete control. I mean, when you look at the defensive side of the ball, they're elite. Elite. Arguably the best defense in the league. Definitely a top 3 defense in the league. And then probably the best offense in the league. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. You also got Christian McCaffrey back there. Kyle, always butcher his last name, not even going to say it, but the fullback out there in San Francisco. And then Brock Purdy just being who he is. He's just being who he is. So San Francisco 49ers right now, the team of the week and my number 1 team in football right now. So I'm going to be talking about another guy that was in that game, Puka Nacua, whatever. I don't know how to say his last name, but still staying on the 49ers, Purdy, I mean, he didn't throw a touchdown in that game, but he did get a rushing touchdown. He did reach the end zone there, 17-25. Overall in the year, he's only throwing 213 yards a game. 426 total on the year, 2 touchdowns. And that's all he has to do. That's all Brock Purdy has to do. Now, if San Francisco had a top 5 quarterback, they'd be the best team of all time. But Brock Purdy is a good quarterback on an elite team. Tua is a very good quarterback on a very good team. Brock Purdy is a good quarterback on an elite team. So, yeah, I mean, and the LA Rams, they only scored 6 points in the second half. They got 2 touchdowns in the second quarter, but that's it. That's it. And then in week 1, I mean, San Francisco, same thing. Defense was there. Brock Purdy did the job. So 30-7, only 7 points allowed against the Steelers. And you could say that it was Kenny Pickett horrible and that Steelers offense was horrible. Yes. But the Steelers just did beat the Browns and the Browns beat the Bengals. I'm not saying the Steelers are going to be better than the Bengals this year, but 49ers looking very good at the start of the year. Again, as expected, best coach in the league, arguably best defense in the league, best offense in the league, though. Best coach, best offense, top 3 defense, best team in football. Right there. All right, let's get into it. Overrated and underrated teams. So my overrated team of the week, overrated team right now is Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals off to an 0-2 start. I think Joe Burrow is not healthy. I just don't think he's healthy. I think he could really use like a week or 2 off just of rest, just get back to full health. I think that's what Burrow needs, but unfortunately they can't do that and they will not do that. But Joe Burrow is not 100% right now, and it's obvious. They just lost 27-24 against the Ravens, who I put in as my top 5 teams. And then also in week 1, they had a terrible first game against the Cleveland Browns, only putting up 3 points. 3 points. Joe Burrow only threw for 82 yards that game, 14 of 31, under 50%. And then against the Ravens, not even anywhere close to better. I mean, yeah, better, but not close to what Joe Burrow is. 27 of 41, only 222 passing yards on 41 attempts. That's not Joe Burrow. Only 2 touchdowns and a pick. So T. Higgins, 89 yards. Jamar Chase, again, held to under 50 yards. So 40 yards, under 40 yards for the second week in a row. 39 yards week 1, 31 yards week 2. Now, they started off 0-2 last year, and we know what happened. They ended up winning the division. They went very far in the postseason. Yes. But the Bengals at this point should be feeling that they should either win the Super Bowl or it's a failure because Joe Burrow made the Super Bowl. He proved that he's an MVP caliber quarterback. Jamar Chase is a world-class wide receiver. What's going on? What's going on? So they are my overrated team of the week, the Cincinnati Bengals. My underrated team of the week is the Washington Commanders, off to a 2-0 start. NFC East is going to be very hard to win for them, yes, because it's probably the best division in football this year, but a 35-33 victory against the Denver Broncos. Ron Rivera getting the job done over Sean Payton. Sam Howell, I mean, they believed in him, and he got sacked 4 times, but no turnovers. No turnovers. He did have a fumble. But no interceptions. 27-39, 299 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Bijan Robinson, I mean, what a pickup. 18 carries, 87 yards, reached the end zone twice. And then also receiving too. He put up some numbers too. 2 catches, 42 yards. So Bijan Robinson, I mean, he was a close second for my rookie of the week. But I'm going to be talking about my rookie of the week upcoming in the next segment. But Bijan Robinson is Brian Robinson. Dog, why am I calling him Bijan Robinson? Brian Robinson, Jesus. But Brian Robinson, yeah, he he's looking very good. Why did I say Bijan Robinson? But anyways, back on the Commanders. Now that I'm losing anyways, Terry McLaurin though, that's what I want to talk about. Terry McLaurin, is he a number 1 wide receiver? Who knows? We'll find out as the season goes on. But so far, 85 yards receiving on the year. He did have a very good game yesterday. On Sunday. 5 receptions, 54 yards, got in the end zone. So, I mean, you're looking at this team. The defense is definitely the highlight of it. I mean, you got Darren Payne at defensive tackle, who is arguably one of the best defensive tackles in football. You also have Montez Sweat, a defensive end, who everybody knows is elite. They're gonna be an exciting team to watch. An exciting team to watch. They got a total of 3 sacks against Russell Wilson. And let's take a look how many sacks they got in game 1. They also got the Buffalo Bills upcoming in week 3, so that's going to be a very big test for them. But against Arizona, 20-16 victory. They let up 3 points in the second half. 3 points, only 1 touchdown. And they got to the quarterback in that game 3 times. That's a recipe for success. Now against the Buffalo Bills, that's the test. They got the Bills, Eagles, Bears. So if they can go 1-1 against the Bills and the Eagles, it'll be 3-1. They'll beat the Bears and they'll beat the Falcons. So if they can go 1-1 against the Bills and the Eagles, come week 7, going into that Giants game, the Commanders could be 5-1. They're 2-0 right now. Let's say they beat the Bills and lose to the Eagles. They're going to lose to the Eagles. I think they got a shot against the Bills. So let's say they beat the Bills, lose to the Eagles. They're beating the Bears and they're beating the Falcons. That makes them 5-1. Even let's say they do lose these next 2 games too. They're beating the Bears and they're beating the Falcons. They're going to be 4-2 going into week 7 with a very good chance to beat the Giants. And now let's say they do beat the Giants. They're 5-2. 5-3 against the Eagles. They go up against the Patriots in week 9. I think they can win that game, 6-3. Seahawks, they can win that game, 7-3. Giants, let's say they lose that game because they'll split it, 7-4. Against the Cowboys, they're going to lose, 7-5. Against the Dolphins, they're going to lose, 7-6. And then they got the Rams, Jets, and Niners. They can finish it. The Commanders could be a 10-win team. They could be a 10-win team. So we'll see how that goes for the Commanders, how they finish out the rest of the year. But a 2-0 start, I don't think a lot of people expected that, especially with Sam Howell running the show over there. But, I mean, Denver's definitely a well-coached team. Sean Payton's a good coach, but Russell Wilson, we'll get into him. But Rookie of the Week, Puka from the LA Rams, putting up over 140 receiving yards against a very, very good San Francisco 49ers defense. So you got to be excited about this guy. He has broken the NFL record for most receptions by a rookie in their first 2 games with 20 total. Matthew Stafford loves this guy. So far on the year total, he has 266 yards, which is good for let's see what he's ranked right now. (2023) most receiving yards. He's got to be up there, at least top 5. Right now, Puka's second, right behind Justin Jefferson, right above Tyreek Hill. I mean, you look at the size of this guy. He was drafted in the 5th round too, so he's coming out of nowhere. But he's 6'2", 205 pounds, out of BYU. Shout out Zach Wilson. Only 22 years old. Definitely flew under the radar over summer. Popping out, 5th round draft pick, 15 receptions, guys. 15. Wow. Over 260 yards on the season for this guy. Rookie of the Week. So we'll see if he can go and get that Rookie of the Year. If he keeps this up, he's going to get it. MVP of the week, Daniel Jones. They were down 28-7, down by 20 actually in the 3rd at one point, and they pulled it off. They came back, great victory, finished off the game 31-28. Daniel Jones finished the game with 321 yards passing, 2 touchdowns passing, 1 interception, also got in the end zone with his legs, 9 yards rushing, 59 yards, and like I said, that rushing touchdown as well. He did it without Saquon Barkley in the fourth, too. Barkley going out with the injury, but like I said, we're not talking about the Giants as a whole. We're talking about Daniel Jones being the MVP of week 2. I mean, Darren Waller, he found a very, very good target in him. 76 yards, 6 receptions against the Arizona Cardinals. Darren Waller is becoming a very, very good threat in this league again. A very good threat. Against Dallas, only three catches, but 36 yards. He had a 22-yard catch as well, but a 25-yard catch against Arizona, 76 yards total on that day. And Daniel Jones has never really had a tight end, and now he does. So arguably, and then also Daniel Jones connecting with Jalen Hyatt. You saw Jalen Hyatt reportedly. Well, Hyatt said that, trust me, just throw the ball to me, and he connected with him. So that was a very good pass, and then also getting in the end zone with his legs to start that comeback in the third quarter. He showed no quit. He was showing emotion. Just got that big deal in the offseason. So there was a lot of people looking at him at really questioning if he should have got that contract, because that's a lot of money for a quarterback like him who's never thrown for over 4,000 yards. But so far, Daniel Jones to start the year, I mean, only 104. He looked terrible. 2 picks against Dallas. But then again, Dallas's defense, we're going to talk about it, very good. But Daniel Jones, wow, that game. He's a very good quarterback. I think he's a top 10 quarterback. Speaking of top 10 quarterbacks, this guy's not a top 10 quarterback anymore. Used to be a top 5 quarterback, which is crazy. Russell Wilson. Russ is just not having a good time out in Denver. He's just not having a good time out in Denver. Now he's having problems with Sean Payton, reportedly. Sean Payton putting it on him post-game, making it in the comments. He said, yes, 100% it's on him. I'm not, by the way, I'm just paraphrasing what he said. He said, yeah, like, he took part of the blame, but he also said the quarterback's got to step up and he's got to make throws and he's got to be better. I mean, you see it all the time. Russell Wilson stepping out of the pocket, and there are guys open. But he's not a pocket passer. He's not a guy who's going to drop back and make a quick throw. He's a guy who's going to want to extend the play and make the big play. That's just who he is. That's who he's always been out in Seattle. And now with Denver, especially in Sean Payton's system, where Drew Brees drops back, makes a quick pass, drops back, makes a quick pass. Yes, he does go out and throw on the run here and there, but majority, Drew Brees was back there, quick throw. Russ, no, he gets back there. He wants to make the big play. That's who Russ has always been. So Russ needs to figure it out. Because starting off 0-2, now with Sean Payton, and like I said before on the podcast, he's got a pretty good team around him. And now, yes, he threw for 308 yards. He did have 3 touchdowns, but he also had a game-deciding interception. He doesn't throw that interception, they win the game. Only 18 of 32, too. 18 of 32. So, I mean, the Broncos, I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not a big Sean Payton fan, to be honest. I did like his movie with Kevin James, but other than that, not a big fan of Sean Payton. Not a big Russ guy either. So he got sacked 7 times. 7 times. Wow. Washington sacked Russ 7 times. So I was wrong. Washington has a lot more sacks than they do. But yeah, so Russ, that's bad. That is very bad. The Broncos might need to cut bait with this guy. I mean, is there a better option than Russell Wilson right now in Denver? Maybe. Jerry Jeudy only has 3 receptions on the year. Cordell Sutton, I mean, in week 1, only 32 yards. And he's a good receiver, too. He's a good receiver. Like I said, they got a good team. But it's really on Russ. It's on Russ because the defense is good. The defense is there. Defense has always been there, but it's on Russ. We'll see what it is. We'll see how they do. Zach Wilson, this is a big one too. Another quarterback who's struggling. We need to figure out what's going on with him. We really do. Because you look at the team outside of the quarterback, Garrett Wilson is a top 10 wide receiver already, and he's only 23, and it's only his second year in the league, and he's a top 10 receiver. I'll say that right now. One of 13 players to ever have 1,100 yards in his rookie year. So Garrett Wilson is already off to a great start too. Two receiving touchdowns on the year, averaging over 15 yards a catch. He's doing very good. But Zach Wilson needs to give him the ball more. Wilson needs the ball more. And I get it. Zach Wilson looked very good in the first half. He looked pretty good in the first half. I will say that. But what I will say also is that he's holding this team back. Now, the reason they lost against Dallas was 100% not on Zach Wilson. None of it was on Zach Wilson. Some of it was on Zach Wilson. The 3 picks, yeah. And 1 of 10 on third down. Yeah, that's on Zach Wilson. Now I get it. The defense was bad. They were bad. Very bad. Sauce Gardner missed a wide open pick 6. But we got to remember that offense was 1 of 10 on third down. That defense was consistently getting back on the field quickly. They're going to get tired, especially after playing on Monday night the week before. So you could tell me the defense is overhyped. The defense isn't that good. They let up 30 points to the Cowboys and Dak Prescott. Yes, I get it. But they were also on the field a lot. And yes, partially because of them. 100%, a lot of it is on the defense. But a lot of it is also on that offense going 1 of 10 on third down. And that's also got to be put on the quarterback. And the quarterback is Zach Wilson. The Jets' plan was to groom Zach Wilson. If they actually thought Zach Wilson was ready to start, then Aaron Rodgers wouldn't have been brought here. But Zach Wilson wasn't ready to start. He wasn't ready to play in week 1. He's not ready to play in week 2. The Jets need a new quarterback if they want to make the postseason. And I'll tell you right now, it would be very embarrassing for the New York Jets. And I get they don't have Aaron Rodgers anymore, but it would be very embarrassing for them to miss the postseason this year after building a superior team in the AFC around Aaron Rodgers. Because then that would just make it look like, well, the Jets are just the Jets, and they're nothing without Aaron Rodgers. And if the Jets want to prove that they are something without Aaron Rodgers, then they might need to sit Zach Wilson back down and find another quarterback to run this offense. Because that's the only way the Jets are going to get into the postseason. They're not getting into the postseason with Zach Wilson as starting quarterback. They are not. But we'll see how that goes. I'm going to be talking about that on the show coming up this week. Dallas defense, I talked about it before. They're lights out. They're just very, very good. Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Trayvon Diggs. And then you also got, what's his name? The bald guy. Falcons old coach. Why am I blanking? Dan Quinn up in the booth. I mean, he should be a head coach in the league, but he's the best defensive coordinator in football. And he's got the most skilled players on the defensive side of the ball. When you have Micah Parsons, an alien, and DeMarcus Lawrence, you're going to win a lot of games. And I think this Dallas defense is what's going to get them an NFC championship. I think Dallas is going to be in the Super Bowl this year. Their defense is just too good not to. Baker Mayfield, 2-0. I'm going to talk about it later. I'm a little tired. So Baker, wow. I mean, 2-0. So far, no picks on the season as well. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, Baker Mayfield looking good. Looking good. Obviously, replacing Tom Brady is very hard to do, but 2-0 so far. 27-17 victory over the Chicago Bears in week 2. Baker threw for 317 yards and a touchdown, 26 of 34. And in week 1, my man, week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings, he captured a pretty good victory over Kirk Cousins. A lot of people are upset about the Vikings losing. 20-17 victory over the Vikings in week 1. Baker 21-34, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, no turnovers. That's the big one for Baker. So he doesn't turn the ball over. Baker Mayfield's a good quarterback. I think that's what I will say about Baker Mayfield. And he's got Mike Evans. Probably the best receiver he's ever had. Watch out for Tampa Bay. Their division ain't that not special. Jaguars are good, but they couldn't get by the Chiefs, and Chiefs have a horrible defense. So we'll see. Maybe Tampa Bay can win the division. Maybe Baker can shock the world and make a comeback and prove that he's worthy of being a starting quarterback in the NFL. Cleveland gave up on him. Maybe he fell right into Tampa's lap. Who knows? Also, Minshew Mania is back. AR5. Anthony Richardson went down with a concussion early on in the game. He also was lights out. Anthony Richardson was looking like a baller. He was 6 of 10 passing, but he did reach the end zone twice on his legs for a total of 35 rushing yards on only 3 rushes. But Gardner Minshew, 19 of 23 when he stepped in, 171 yards passing, 1 passing touchdown, no turnovers. Also on his legs, 3 yards. Minshew proved that he's one of the better backup quarterbacks in this league, and I think right now he's going to be motivated. I mean, I think Richardson's going to be back. I'm not sure what the word is, but we'll see, because he did go down with an injury in week 1 too. But we'll see what goes on with that. He also did get sacked 4 times, so you got to keep that into account too. In week 1, you don't want your young quarterback just getting killed out there. But Gardner Minshew is going to be if he is in the game, it's going to be very fun to watch him. I will say that. But if Anthony Richardson comes back, it's his job. And I hope it's his job, because he's my starting quarterback in fantasy. Yeah, that's all I'll wrap it up on. That's my week 2 breakdown. You saw my top 5 teams of the week. You saw my overrated team of the week, my underrated team of the week, my rookie of the week, my MVP of the week. Yeah, I'm going to be doing more podcasts like this. Probably a lot of after Thursday night football, I'll probably do another podcast. I'll probably do one Sunday night. Probably do one before the Jets game, before the Giants game. Yeah, I'll be just putting these out a lot more. Just because it's also a little bit easier, not making all these graphics and stuff. I love making the graphics, don't get me wrong. But it is very time consuming, especially with the new job now. So, yeah, going to be hopping back on these pods a lot more. But if you're watching or listening, wherever you're watching or listening, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your week. I hope you have the best day ever. Deuces.